Brushing out a coat of a rabbit seems like it would be so simple, but that's not the case with breeds like Angoras and Lionheads. This is Lolly. She's a Lionhead. She was placed in my care about 10 years ago after being passed from owner to owner, overcaged, and eventually just tossed in someone's backyard. She's going to help me with a video today, and there'll be some other rabbits from clips I have over the years. Even though I'm talking a lot about Lionhead rabbits in this video, you can apply these techniques to whatever breed of rabbit you have. Also, in the context of this video, I'm mostly referring to brushing out your rabbit's coat when I use the word grooming. Of course, we know that rabbits groom themselves and other rabbits regularly, but here, grooming refers to us humans doing our part to brush out a rabbit's fur coat. Lolly is a Lionhead rabbit. All those years ago, before she was placed in my care, she had not been properly cared for. I took her in and I started working with her to rehabilitate some aggressive behaviors she had developed. As part of that rehabilitation, I had to get her used to having her fur coat brushed out. With Lionheads, fur mats develop very quickly, and that coat brushing would be a regular part of our routine. Lionheads are wonderful rabbits, and they have big personalities, but they're also one of the most high-maintenance breeds when it comes to grooming. Their long, fluffy mane is the result of selective breeding, and while it may look adorable, it creates a lot of extra work for a human caretaker and some problems for the rabbit. Without regular grooming sessions, particularly brushing out that thick fur coat, Lionhead fur can quickly become tangled and matted, and that's true of other rabbit breeds too. Those fur mats don't just look messy, they actually pull on the rabbit's skin and they can become painful. In severe cases, mats can even hide skin infections or sores. Helping your rabbit groom by brushing its coat, it isn't optional. It's part of keeping them healthy. Unlike short-haired rabbits, breeds like Lionheads have a woolly mane and longer fur around their head, their neck, and their hindquarters. Because rabbits groom themselves constantly, loose fur can be swallowed during shedding times. And if too much of that fur is ingested, it can contribute to digestive problems or even dangerous blockages. Regular grooming sessions removes that loose fur before it ends up in the rabbit's stomach. Most Lionheads need brushing several times a week, if not daily. When they need it daily, it's usually during heavy shedding times. When you regularly brush the coat of your rabbit, fur mats don't have a chance to develop. There are many tools you can use to groom a Lionhead rabbit or other rabbit breed, but over time you'll discover which one your rabbit tolerates best and which one works for you. For Lolly, I keep things simple. Some of the tools I use is a soft baby brush, be the same kind of a consistency. The bristles are soft enough that you could use them with a small child. And then this shaver, tried a lot of shavers over the years. Most rabbits don't need any kind of device to help groom, but this is actually called the Pro. This is not sponsored. I'm just telling you about it because it works really well and it's quite inexpensive. I got it on Amazon, but it's not noisy. Not noisy, it's inexpensive, and it does exactly what I need it to do. One of the tools I keep on hand is a soft baby brush. In fact, I have several different types of those. The bristles are gentle and they don't scratch the skin, which is important because rabbits have such fragile skin. I also use a shaver to carefully remove mats when they form. For Lionheads and Angoras, mats tend to develop behind the ears, under the chin, under the front legs, or around the hind end, and those areas require extra attention. Sometimes brushing alone isn't enough. If a fur mat forms and can't be safely brushed out, it may need to be carefully trimmed away. So you can use this razor to do any trimming or removal of mats. She doesn't have mats right now because I keep up on her care. You can see that she is shedding a little bit, and that doesn't have to do with a shedding season, quote. Rabbits will shed depending on temperature changes in the house, and you'll notice that rabbits, and it makes sense if you think about it, their biology is just like other animals. they want to start getting rid of their fur if it gets too warm for them. So this little shaver is quiet. You can hear that. And she's used to it. When I first started using it, I had to just kind of, if you're not used to using any kind of tool, a good way to get a rabbit used to a little device like this is to just turn it on and bring it near them and just do that for a little while. Don't just jump right in. Like, you wouldn't want to just, it's kind of like you carrier train your rabbits. You leave the carrier in the enclosure supervised, you know, and let them sniff it and get used to it. Don't just toss them in a carrier every time you have to go somewhere or go to the vet, because the rabbit's going to start associating a character with something, or a carrier with something they don't like. Same thing with a razor. Just get them used to it before you need to use it on them. It works really well, as you can see. I don't usually use this to trim her mane. I'm just doing it as a demonstration of how well it works. It really does take off fur and mats quite easily. So like anything, you practice, you get better at it. But the biggest thing with some of the bunnies, and I would say this is especially true of when you're first starting to groom a Lionhead, because they do take so much care, is just be gentle and make a daily grooming session for the rabbit, even if it's like 5 or 10 minutes. Make sure you get under those ears, down around the hind end. It doesn't need to look perfect today, or, you know, the point of this is, number one, to take the fur off so that it doesn't wind up in her digestive system. And two, if you're new and your rabbit's new to grooming, or you have a young rabbit, you just need to get them used to grooming. Lolly's quite used to being groomed, of course. She's been in the family for so many years now. But she didn't like it at first. In fact, a lot of rabbits, when rabbits come from harsh beginnings, a lot of times you can't touch their hind end at all. Of course, rabbits being prey animals, that does make sense because predators come up and grab them from behind. But even that they can get used to. It just takes practice and time and a lot of patience. Be gentle, go slow, and yeah, your rabbit will thank you for taking better care of their coat than people who never bother brushing or grooming. That's really hard on the rabbit and causes unnecessary suffering for them. Instead of trying to do everything at once, I often break grooming into small sessions. One day might be brushing. Another day might be checking for matted fur or fur mats, removing any tangle that's beginning to form. Another day might be trimming small problem areas. This slow, gentle approach reduces stress for both the rabbit and the owner. The important point I'm trying to make is that grooming is an ongoing chore. Check your bunny often and make sure you're brushing regularly, especially during those shedding times. When grooming a Lionhead rabbit, there are a few areas that tend to cause the most trouble. Behind the ears is a big one. The mane fur can tangle very quickly. Those front legs, sometimes called the armpit area, is another place where fur mats can form. The hind quarters also need attention because long fur can trap urine, hay, or other debris. Keeping this area trimmed and clean helps prevent hygiene problems, especially as your rabbit gets older. Be careful not to overfeed greens or introduce new foods too quickly. This is not just true of Lionhead bunnies, it's true of all rabbits. The difference with Lionheads and Angora breeds is if they're not fed properly, the overproduction of cecotropes will cause all kinds of problems in their hind end area. Rabbit breeds like Lionheads need to be able to clean themselves like any other rabbit. Help them out by feeding them properly. If they have a messy hind end, something is off balance and it needs to be addressed immediately. One important rule when grooming a rabbit is never give a rabbit a bath. For healthy rabbits, they don't need baths and you should not bathe them. Rabbits are extremely sensitive to stress, and immersion in water can actually send them into shock. Since rabbits are prodigious groomers, they groom themselves frequently. But remember, when we bring any rabbit into our care, we have to help them with trimming nails, brushing coats, and especially with breeds like Lionheads, making sure those mats don't develop in the first place. If you see a fur mat, remove it immediately. I suggest not trying to comb a fur mat that's right next to the skin. Learn to gently shave it Don't shave it right down to the skin. Just shave part of the mat off so the tangled part is removed. From there, you should be able to brush it out. The fur will grow back very quickly. Make a mental note of that area and keep that brushed out. Back to rabbits and bathing. If a rabbit does become dirty or has some health issue that requires ongoing cleaning, you can learn to very gently spot clean it with a warm, damp cloth. This is much safer than bathing. If you're at a point where you need to hire a professional groomer to help you get the fur mats under control, be sure to find someone who doesn't offer rabbit baths as part of their service. And I'm talking about regular bathing. A groomer who offers giving a healthy rabbit as part of a grooming package doesn't know enough about rabbits. In my experience, it's much better to learn to groom your rabbit yourself at home. Make coat brushing part of your normal routine. Another benefit of this type of grooming or brushing your rabbit's coat regularly is it gives you a chance to check your rabbit's overall skin health. I look for things like skin irritation, parasites, injuries, signs of infection, weight changes, unusual lumps or swelling. I do this with all the rabbits in my care. It's part of my regular well check at home, and it's great for preventing big problems and high veterinary bills. When you do your own well checks during grooming sessions, you get to know your rabbit very well, and the rabbit gets more comfortable with this type of handling. As prey animals, rabbits are very good at hiding illness. In fact, they're so good at it that suffering in silence is their superpower. When you do your own grooming and you incorporate well checks into your routine, you learn a lot about your rabbit. When combined with credible information and a little bit of research specific to your breed, you become the expert of your own rabbit, and that's exactly where you want to be. Lionheads and other rabbits, they're beautiful animals, but they are not low maintenance. Like any fluffy rabbit, certain breeds require even more grooming and maintenance. The most important thing is to go slow and keep the experience calm. Your rabbit needs to trust you, and if your rabbit sees you as a source of pain or daily stress, that trust will be broken. Future grooming sessions will be even more difficult, and the rabbit can develop what appears to be aggression. In reality, he's probably just trying to defend himself in the way any prey animal would. So be slow, be gentle, and be calm. Short, gentle grooming sessions over time will help your rabbit learn that grooming isn't something to fear. Slow, gentle progress pays off. Your effort will be well worth it. Even though grooming certain rabbits can be difficult, it will get easier if you keep doing it. Well-groomed rabbits are healthier, more comfortable, and happier. And here's a bonus tip. Have a small treat handy. Make it something that the rabbit would usually never get, like a raisin. Like head petting, a very special treat helps rabbits associate your grooming sessions with something they enjoy. After all these years of Lolly being part of my family, she still doesn't particularly care for certain parts of our grooming process. As you can see from this video, she tolerates it pretty well. That was not the case when she first came into my care. With time, patience, and a gentle process, Lolly knows it's just part of our routine.